All right. So if you haven't noticed by now, most of the videos on my channel, on this channel, will be a part of a video series where I deal with essentially the same topic over multiple videos. Now, my most recent live stream, I talked about how most likely Black Americans gonna die off. And I'm gonna spend just a few videos elaborating because that's a pretty loaded statement. I haven't read anybody's comments in response to that video, so bear with me here. I'm a busy man. But one of the main reasons I say that, and I'm not trying to be negative when I say that, okay? Those of you who don't know, I've been making YouTube videos since about 2004. So I've been producing content for almost 20 years. And one thing I've learned is that you should always be honest. I can't sit here and talk like, oh, Black American youth, stay strong, love each other. You know, don't get into bad stuff. You can't do that. Can't do that. And the fact is, rappers and singers are the most influential people in the Black community. Who has control over our rappers and singers? The industry. Okay? That's a huge problem. The biggest influencers in Black America is rappers and R&B singers, hands down. Not athletes. You know, we watch basketball game, a football game and whatnot, but we're not basing our everyday life on basketball players. We're not trying to live day to day, trying to emulate basketball players. Most of the Black American youth tries to emulate these rappers and R&B singers. They are essentially gods of Black America. And this has been one of the major problems Black America has faced under, not only under integration, but it essentially exploded. It exploded under integration. And that is our icons, our musicians and entertainers are being picked and groomed by the industry rather than our communities. Black American community produced Louis Jordan, James Brown, Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder. Those old artists were produced by Black American communities, churches, primarily churches. And they rose to fame from the mud. Today, the industry, people who are not Black American, pick rappers. They're not even rappers. They're just random people that don't nobody know, and put millions and millions of dollars behind them. And they force those rappers and singers to take an oath, and they force them into Satanism. Now, how do you think that's going to work for us when rappers and R&B singers are the most influential people in Black America? That's a horrible position to be in. When the most influential and iconic people in your society are 100% controlled like puppets. And that's why they push these sick satanic agendas. That's why their lyrics are all about death, destruction, overdosing on street drugs, shooting somebody, killing. And when they rap, they exclusively rap about killing other Black people. That's by design. That's by design. They only rap about doing harm to other Black people. They would not dare rap about attacking nobody else because other groups would have a serious problem with that. Just like Ice-T's Cop Killer. They came down on him hard for that song Cop Killer. But rappers are allowed to sing songs about killing other Black people. as much as even though it's a crime, even though it gets you arrested, it can get you killed. There are millions upon millions of the Black American youth who try to emulate that lifestyle anyway, because when they look at these rappers, all they see is money. And in the modern era, people worship money. Some people I got a lot of respect for got way too much worship for money and willing to sell their soul for money. But the youth today, they want expensive cars, homes, they want the jewelry, they want to live that lifestyle because deep down they're extremely insecure. I said years ago, the biggest problem in the Black community is the same problem that has always been: a lack of self-esteem, a feeling of insecurity, not believing in themselves. We as Black men, we've been talking about Black women in their hair for a long time. The root problem, the root cause, is their own lack of confidence, an inferiority complex. And we go through life trying to compensate it by lusting and worshiping after money. And people are willing to do anything for money. And that's all our chosen puppet entertainers talk about and rap about. Most of these people are industry plants. And understand, they don't do this with any other group. Look at how much attention the industry pays to Black America. They don't plant country music artists and have them sing country music lyrics about shooting and killing other white hillbillies. They're doing that with Black America. They're doing that with our music. They're not getting these other musicians. They're not forcing them. And I'm telling y'all, they're forcing these rappers to talk about that stuff. They're not forcing any of these other entertainers to rap and be degenerate, to do degenerate things up on stage. They got Sexy Red out there with no shoes on, a few months pregnant, out there looking sloppy and degrading and disgusting. Extremely embarrassing. That was not Sexy Red's idea. She is nothing but a brainless puppet who sold her soul. And I hear recently she admitted that she sold her soul. And I'm telling you, each and every one of these rappers out today sold their soul. They are involved in witchcraft. They perform sacrifices and other rituals. And their God is Lucifer. I don't care if they're a Freemason, if they made a pact with a demon or with the devil, as Snoop Dogg did. Whatever they're doing, the God for them is Lucifer. Do you think we're headed, that we're about to make progress when the most influential people in Black America sold their souls? And look at how often they pump these puppets out. I'm telling you, listen, the government here, they know Black Americans are going extinct. They know that we're not going to be here that long. That's why they're trying to wrestle hip hop from us, because they know we're not going to be here to claim it. And you look at Black American culture. Black American culture, when it comes to reproducing, sadly, is just like every other demographic on the planet. Now, this is something that's race neutral. Take your pick. No matter what country you go to on this planet, those people are going to have a culture of lighter is better. The lighter your skin, the more superior you are. I don't care where you go in the Middle East, whether that be in Europe, Canada, South America, Africa. Every single continent on this planet has a culture of let's get lighter. Let's get lighter. Lighter skin is always admired. That's a prevalent mentality among Black America, just like with everybody, every other group. And we need to stop lying about it. On top of that, there have been several prominent rappers, entertainers who've come out and said, yeah, you see a bunch of light-skinned women in our videos because that they look more attractive. You hear the biggest, most influential icons saying that just straight up, because people are asking, why is it only these light-skinned girls in the videos? Look at how much more. The brighter skin. And many of these women nowadays in these videos, they're not even black. They're not even black at all. So what's being elevated and put on a platform in Black America is not just light-skinned black women. They have put all light skin, whether you're black or not. These are the ideal women. So Black America has a reproduction culture of let's get lighter, lighten up the race, whiten up that la raza, whiten the race. That same culture is here in America. And I get sick of black people being in denial about that. Stop it. Stop it. You know full well that that's in our culture too. Lighter is better. And you look at the people who preach that many of your icons, many people who you think are pro-black, they got them a biracial wife. They got them a biracial girlfriend. Let's be honest. Many of our icons, the Malcolm X's, okay, it's in our culture. Here, we do admit that there was what we call a house Negro. And the house Negro here in America was the biracial offspring of the slave master. Okay, so flat out, stop denying it. There is a lighter is better culture in Black America, just like there is a lighter is better culture in every single ethnic group on this planet. You can't survive with all these things working against you. Look at Black America today. Look at how much we've lightened up ourselves compared to just 100 years ago. If you go back to 1923, I'm telling you, you're going to see more dark-skinned Black Americans. A much larger percentage of Black America was dark-skinned in 1922. Go back to, 1922. Go back to 1822. You hardly find any light-skinned, so-called light-skinned black people. You will hardly find any of them. That is when dark skin dominated overwhelmingly, and that's only 200 little old years ago. So when you look at us today compared to 200 years ago, and you look at the culture, how we embrace lighter is better today, what you think is we gonna look like 200 years from now? I'll tell you what you're gonna have. You're gonna have a bunch of people who are no longer black. They're gonna look like the Brazilians. Many of those Brazilians, where they're real light skinned, they got like this straight European non-black hair, but they'll have a few black features, like more prominent noses, prominent lips, or something like that. They'll have a little bit of black in them. And they're going to be running around calling themselves Black Americans. Okay? You're going to have a bunch of people in America who are no longer black, but they're a little light skinned, whatever, and they're going to be claiming, yeah, I'm Black American. My ancestors, or I'm part Black American, so they can lay claim to hip hop, lay claim to black culture that we left behind after we drove ourselves into extinction. Okay, let's keep it real. This culture among Black America that I've been talking about for a long time, when y'all talk about and say that biracial, that if me as a black man, if I go out and knock up some white woman, that the child is going to be black because you are what your father is. That is one of the most ignorant, backwood, ignorant ass theories I've ever heard in my life. And it just reveals how dumb so many black people are. I don't care if you're a man or a woman, if you copulate with a white person, your child is biracial, period. But when you push that type of culture, that's a culture designed to wipe you out. Because if I knock up some white woman and my child is so-called black when they're really not, they're biracial, then I'm going to say, hey, son, if you knock up a white woman too, your baby going to be black too. Even though they're going to look like Eminem. Okay? And especially if my grandchild go knock up a white person, they're going to look straight up like Bill Gates, Joe Biden. Okay? They not going to look black hardly at all. And you telling me that's going to be the new black people? No, that is a program to exterminate you. So this is a problem when you have the extermination protocol embedded into black people's own brains. And the ghettos, the poverty. I saw that video here recently. I don't know if it was recently, but Sexy Red paid a visit to her old high school. Like, who is a prominent black leader today, would you say? Who is a prominent black leader today? Think about, what are they fighting for? Land? Do you know how much harder it is to survive when you're living in an integrated society? Look at the overall social relation between black men and black women. Don't you think that black males and females got along better in 1923? Don't you believe overall black people got along? Black male and female relationships were healthier in 1923. One thing we know, you didn't have the type of gender war going on then that you have today. It may have existed in another form. Remember, there wasn't even internet, and internet motivated a lot of people to be brutally honest. So it was nothing like it is today. And on top of that, segregation existed. So you know they had to get along better than they do today in order to exist and thrive under segregation. And remember, under segregation, black Americans thrived. We need to stop projecting that time of our history as a dark history that we rather forget. That's when we was in our prime. Over 90% of our households was two-parent. We had several booming black communities. We were building power. And that's why they were targeted and destroyed. And that's another reason why I seriously doubt black Americans are going to survive much longer. Compare how well we were doing in the 1920s to today. We no longer have Black Wall Streets. We don't have businesses like that anymore, period. And currently, we are not demanding a state. We're not demanding our own land. And part of the reason we've become so disintegrated over the last 100, 200 years is because we are integrated into other people's society. We cannot cultivate the type of people we need in order to survive. Instead, the system is cultivating these satanic bums from the hood who sold their souls for money and fame. And I mean everybody. That includes Drake as a Satanist. All of these rappers, all of them are into occult practices. And their occult practices all involve Aleister Crowley teaching, Satanism, recognizing Lucifer, and receiving blessings from Lucifer. It doesn't matter that it's the system that's actually giving these people all that money. It doesn't matter. The fact is, they receive fame and fortune after they make a pact with a demon, pact with a devil, sacrifice a friend, sacrifice a close relative, where people literally losing their life. And these artists are instructed to push degeneracy primarily to black Americans. And that's why I don't like this channel. This is the one thing that rubs me the wrong way with this guy's channel, Truth Is, because he never points out that the primary targets are black American. Yes, they may be using these rappers to influence as many people as possible, but they're primarily targeting black Americans. That's why it's only black American music where you hear this type of degenerate filth pumped out on a regular basis because the primary intended targets are black Americans. I'm telling black Americans, there is a force trying to destroy us, trying to drive us into extinction and make it look like we did it all to ourselves. What better way than to have complete control over our most influential people? So these little young black kids, black girls, they grow up seeing themselves with no clothes on, shaking their butt, throwing themselves at any man with money. They being taught by these influencers to be prostitutes and whatnot. In other words, to continue to produce broken households. With the male, they influencing them to sell dope and shoot, settle your disputes with guns, walk around being harsh and confrontational with only other black people, and degrading women only if they are black women. Stop it. You can't survive if other people have complete control over your most influential people. You can't survive. And this is what we need to talk about: the destruction of black America. We have been on that path for a while now, and it's only getting worse. How many people do you think would on site recognize any of our most valued historians, John Henrik Clarke? Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of people know about our icons that really contributed. How many black Americans do you think as many black Americans know of Dr. Amos Wilson that know Sexy Red and all these other rappers? Of course not. Do you think they know Claude Anderson? Even somebody alive, Tariq Nasheed. Do you think as many people will recognize him that recognize Suki Hana? Of course not. Of course not. Black Americans on a path of destruction. And when you look at the things that they have our artists doing, it's really, really sick and ridiculous. And the goal is to target us. When you see, the music industry works with the prison industry. And we all know about the meeting that is said to have been had where they got together and said, hey, we are building a whole lot of prisons and we're going to need bodies in those prisons, right? They make money off prisons. So, hey, instruct all of your rappers to rap about criminality, busting their little stupid guns, so that the youth grow up busting guns and get arrested and thrown in our prisons. And they put this right in our face. Now, I don't want to undermine our efforts. There are a number, hundreds, maybe thousands of black people on YouTube talking about this, right? I want to give recognition to the black influencers who are saying the right thing, who at least trying to influence the subsequent generation in a righteous direction to live a productive life. But one thing we're not really pushing for is our own state, which is what we need to survive. I am thinking deep into the future. There is no future that extends too far in the future without land. We're not fighting for reparations. We are making reparations required or mandatory for our vote. But we're not literally fighting. I know that's a form of fighting. Telling people you're not going to vote for them when you could be a potential voter to get them over the hump so they'll win the election. But that's not really fighting. They can work around that. If we refuse to vote, they can simply bring in a bunch of immigrants and let them vote, which is exactly what they're doing. So not even our refusal to vote for a certain party, if they don't grant us reparations, not even that works. But if we get reparations, do y'all think we really going to acquire land? Because we could do it if we were on the same page. If we got reparations, we could all buy land in an area that we all mutually agree to be Black America. And people flat out, we need that to survive in the distant future. We are not going to survive being under any other group of people, even if they don't have any malicious intent for us. Today, there is more tension in regard to black male-female relationships. It's almost like night and day right now. You talk to some black people, you can tell they feel like it's impossible to have a black boyfriend or a black girlfriend, black husband, or a black wife. Many of them. That's why I say it's not a good idea to coach young black men to not date black women. I mean, that's the absolute dumbest thing we could be out here preaching right now, because we already have more tension. You don't hear white men and do you have white men and white women here talking about on YouTube in droves, talking about how, hey, white girls, you need to only date black men. And dating black men is so wonderful. And they make a whole channel of, hey, coaching other white women to date and marry black men. Are they? Do you have white men here on YouTube coaching other white men to stay away from white women? Understand, it doesn't end at coaching white girls or white boys to date black people. No. They also have to teach to stay away from white women and white men. Forget about those white guys. Go get you a black guy. Are other groups out here doing the exact same thing that a number of black people doing? I'm asking, that's a question, because I don't know. All I know is I've never come across any of them. That's a bad sign. You got a narrative in black America like that. White is right. White is better. And it's not really white. It's anything. If you get somebody, as long as they're not black, you've leveled up. That's a mentality to drive you into extinction. Let's just be honest. That's irrefutable. So a lot of it has to do with our beliefs, with the things we actively do. Let me tell you, the only way, in my opinion, the only way for black people to guarantee their existence into the foreseeable future, we would need a culture opposite of that. We would need the exact opposite mentality. Instead of trying to level up by dating someone who's not black American, there'd have to be a culture in black America that consciously goes after a black mate, a black husband or a black wife, because we already consciously go after non-black mates. You see what I'm saying? You don't find black people out here coaching other black people to only date black people. You really don't have nothing like that. Where are the books? Where are the groups? Where are the Twitter spaces? Black Americans not out here pushing this idea that it's better to get a dark-skinned mate. And the only way for any black group to maintain their existence is for them to have that type of culture, to look at being darker as more desirable. You see what I'm saying? Because no matter what, if the majority of the population feels like it's a level up to be lighter and get a light-skinned mate, that's going to lighten up your entire race. And the only way to make sure that doesn't happen is to have the opposite type of culture. Do y'all think black Americans going to develop some type of culture like that? That's the culture you need. You got to maintain your lineage, your bloodline. You can't have that with again, we got the same overall general culture that every other group in the world has. You go over to their countries, you skin bleaching ads and billboards in China, in Africa, in the Middle East, in South America. Everywhere you go, lighter is better. Lighter is better. The racial classes, South Africa, down there in the Caribbean, they established it. They made it a part of the social system. Lighter is better. And if you're lighter in some of these parts, you are in a higher class. You're in a whole different class system. We don't have that. That's a recipe for extermination. That's exactly the type of culture you would need to exterminate yourself in the near future. And that is what La Raza was all about. Lighten the race. Whiten the race. You look at the that indigenous black group in the Philippines. The original blacks of the Philippines, they're called the Ada people, I think. The Ada tribe. Let me see. Ada tribe, Philippines. If you do research on these people, here they go. If you do research on these people, you will find that when the Europeans first found the Ada people, here they are right here. The Europeans say when they first found these people that they were all black. They looked like this. But now there are two different classes of them. Now they're saying that there's a group of them that have become very, very light-skinned through some degree of intermixing. So they have now two classes of Ada people. And they say that there are now fewer of the dark-skinned original phenotype in Philippines. For those of you who don't know, these are the native Filipinos of the Philippines. And that's what the Filipino, the light-skinned, the white-skinned Filipinos say themselves. They say that these people were the first people in the Philippines. Now, if they stay on that path, they're going to be wiped out too. Where all of them will only have some native Filipino blood, where the others have the modern European, mostly modern European blood. That's the culture. So I'm not singling out Black Americans as having some type of mental defect. This lighter is right, lighter is better culture is all over the world. It's all over except with white people. There's a great deal of white people who think it's more attractive to have a suntan than to be pasty pale. I first heard pasty pale from a white woman. I had never even heard them say that. Pasty pale, pasty pale. It's weird, isn't it? That is weird. And many people think, myself included, that this immigration is white America's way to try to boost their numbers. The idea is that, yeah, these people may not be as white as us, but they classify themselves as white on their documents, and they would prefer to lighten up. When they come over here, they would prefer to find a white wife or a white husband. So we can mix with those people that will sort of bolster the white population's numbers. So they're putting in place a plan for their numbers to go up, even as they're in decline. What Black Americans doing? What are we doing? Again, we got the same culture that everybody else got. Lighter is better, right? And we got a more dangerous culture than anybody else. Let's look at that too. We got a philosophy when it comes to race, when it comes to skin hue, when it comes to reproducing that nobody else has, don't we? What is it? It is that biracial kids are black. Nobody else does that. Nobody else does that. Do white people do that? They say, hey, white guys, your kid is what the father is. Isn't that what a lot of these people say? You are what your father is. So why is a white man's a child that he had from a black mother, why isn't that child considered white? See, they don't have that crazy, backwards, illogical ideology. Only black Americans got that. So we got this method of extermination, self-annihilation that no other group has. You can't tell me it's not reasonable to believe that we're on a path to extinction when you got facts like this. We're on a path to extinction more so than other groups. On top of exclusively having a twisted philosophy like that, we have no land, we have no territory, and we're not fighting for it. We're not even having discussions about the need for territory in order to survive in the future. Anybody believe that's not significant? That's very significant. When you're the only group who says that we can go out and mate with non-black Americans and the offspring is black American. Yeah, go get you a white wife. Go get you a white husband. Go get you a Chinese wife, a Chinese husband. Your offspring's gonna be black. Still black. Black's the dominant. Black dominate. Black is this. Black is that. When in reality, that's still a biracial child with lighter skin, different grade of hair, maybe blue, green eyes. And the fact is, when they go mate with another non-black person, they're going to have even less black blood DNA inside of them. So you can call them philosophically black all you want, when the truth is you're disintegrating as a people. Starting to vanish, and you're wiping your own selves out. Won't have nobody to blame but yourselves. That's what they're setting up right now. So I'm not trying to trigger people. That's not what this topic is about. I've been thinking about this for years. This has been on my mind. I don't know why other people haven't thought about it. We are on a path to extinction. Only time will tell whether or not it'll happen.